I'm a father of 3.
Yes.
If I was to walk in here, I'd take 3 steps in, get scared, and walk the hell right back out.
We know your type.
Okay. Hi, I'm Faisal Karmali. Welcome to Karmali Exchange. Business owners need to help each other out. Keep on pushing to meet the needs of the customer will meet the needs of the business. Well, if you haven't been into BraTopia, you might as well come on down, because the key thing here is what's the impacts of this industry? What about Ozempic? That's a big game changer. And what about that VIP experience that you need to take your business to the next level? I'm joined with Colette Hamon. Colette, thank you for joining us on the Karmali Exchange.
Thanks, Faisal.
Okay, I want to kind of figure out this whole thing about Ozempic, but before we jump right into it, tell me a bit about BraTopia.
For 15 years, we've been Calgary's largest luxury lingerie and swimwear company, and we added intimacy devices.
How have you set out the floor, and is there a certain flow that you
for
want
sure.
people to go through?
There's seasonality to things.
Sure.
Especially Christmas. Christmas is the peak of sexy lingerie season.
Gotcha.
Here's what we can sell you that's interesting and fashionable. You get into our change rooms, this is where all the magic happens. You tell that woman what you want and it's brought to you. Here's your practical bras, even though some of them are luxury branded. Peak sleepwear season we're also in.
Gotcha.
So this is actually what got me into the business, was looking for a sports bra. So we've always catered to sports bra fittings. Female athletes are so underserved. Even when you go to a sporting goods store, you see where the market is. And now this season has turned on because we just had that wonderful snowfall.
Yeah, we got to get out of here.
Everyone's booking holidays.
A lot of people don't know this, but you went from Ivy Business School right into this business. Mm-hmm. What the heck? Who goes to Ivy Business School to open up a business like this?
I know, and I think it's when you hit a problem that causes you enough pain.
Okay.
You think, where can I get the solution? And in my case, I thought, I'm going to bring the solution to this beautiful city that we live in.
And so you walk in, and we had this conversation earlier about what you thought was going to actually be implemented from your business plan of all this experience that you've had in an educational institution like an Ivy Business School. And then you sit here and you go, oh shit, that's not accurate. What happened?
So you can make all the most impressive business plans in the world, and I did. My cash flow statements were amazing. I got all the financing. I leaned every property I had and took all the risks. And it wasn't until I got on the other side of the curtain with a half-naked woman that I realized, oh wow, I didn't realize the psychological blocks I was going to be up against day to day working in this product.
So when you say psychological blocks, what do you mean by that?
I personally, and I don't know a woman on earth that doesn't have some issues with her body.
Sure.
The majority of them are probably neck down, because we can do so much to our faces, hair, eyelashes, fillers, etc., that by the time that woman is in a change room with you and you're helping her solve issues that require her to remove her clothing, something can happen to her in various states. And some of this can go back to trauma, but some of it is just how women feel about their bodies, and suddenly that's what you're up against in trying to solve an issue that they want solved.
So walk me through. You're literally standing across an almost naked customer, and now you got to deal with the psyche of the customer. How the hell do you do that?
You get good at not going into it and staying focused on what you're solving. But you see their eyes, you see their energy change, you see them looking up and down, they start apologizing for their bodies. Like, oh, sorry, I have this scar here, sorry, I had breast cancer and I had a partial lumpectomy. They know everything that is not perfect on their body, and you can just see it flood some of them.
And so when you're standing across that individual, and you've got, and your team have got an objective, you're looking for a sale here. But there is a psychological barrier. And I think, take this business or any other businesses, there is a psychological barrier. In my business, it's all emotional.
Yes.
It's all psychological. And it really has nothing to do with the product itself, but they're looking for an outcome. How do you take what their psychological barrier is and get the outcome that you're looking for?
You have to take over. You basically, and this is part of even our coaching when we hire on new people, is don't ask them what they want, you're their guide, and you're gonna solve the issue they want solved, but do it and do it in a way too that you can wow them. And so as much as every woman owns a nude/beige bra, I say don't start there. Start in red, purple, blue, sparkles if you have to get them out of their normal comfort zone and see what happens to their energy. And it works.
So pull them out of their comfort zone a bit to get them more energized and then bring them back to base. Okay, well, let's talk about the training that you've done with your staff, because you can't be everywhere. How many staff members do you have working with customers?
Working with customers, there's 8.
Okay, that's a lot of
And then
people.
we have a supporting team that work in the back as well.
That's a lot of people. The minute you go past 2, the control of how that customer experience is can go in any direction. And so partly because of my research of this interview, I wanted to take a look at what your customers have been saying. And I went through the thousands of reviews. And there's not too many businesses that get thousands of reviews. And I first of all have to say, for the record, you've had very little, if any, really negative reviews. So congratulations on that. I think
No, thank you.
very few businesses have a percentage of negative reviews like you do, because it's very easy to put a negative review online.
It is.
So I went through the negative reviews.
Thank you.
First of all, you respond to every single comment or review that comes on. Why?
For the most part, whether it's a 5-star review or a 1-star review, these people want to feel heard.
Okay.
Doesn't mean the problem's going to get solved in their favor, but they want to feel heard, and we want them to know they were heard. And so that's important to me. It's a bit of conflict resolution.
Sure.
Yeah, that's probably my main reason.
And every customer needs to be heard, but is every customer right? You heard that before, right? The customer's always right.
Of course, I've heard that.
Is that
and
accurate?
I think I felt that way personally as a customer, into my early 30s, and before I did a lot of inner work and healed my inner child.
Okay.
That probably had more entitlement to them,
Sure.
right? So no, I don't think the customer's always right. And so that's how we operate. And it creates this incredible atmosphere, because truly, even if my staff are all here right now, we might deal with the challenging customers less than 1% of the time.
Sure. And even in my business, the challenging customers are far and few between. The lion's share of the customers or clients that we deal with, they're great people. Everything's fine. But what draws us away from the center of our business is those negative individuals, negative experiences, and in some cases, the negative reviews. I was reading one of them where, again, I don't know the whole story.
Don't
All
worry,
I'm doing
please.
is off the review. That this individual was complaining that they didn't get the attention that they wanted in the store, and went right to the word racism. So first of all, I've known you for a while. Bullshit, not racist. Hello, okay? I'm here, and I can tell you there is no racism coming out of this woman. Her objectives for sure are that way. So I wanted to put that out there.
No, please, thank you.
But when someone feels like they were not given the service because of their race, how do you handle something that extreme of an experience?
That's a great question. I feel that you get to a point in life that whatever somebody throws at you or whatever it's coming at, they're going to use sometimes the lowest hanging fruit.
Sure.
And even before you went into the detail that there was a comment about racism, there are times we're exceptionally busy. And that is true. Sometimes we don't get the service levels that we can give. And I do remember that day in particular, but it's never about this. It's whether or not our change room can handle the people. And in the end, it's that person wanted service. Yeah. And so I've seen this before where some people will use these extreme measures and then they still continue shopping with us. So that's the part that always also shocks me, that I feel that if you truly believe these things, you probably wouldn't support that business.
Yeah, so let me give you a personal experience that I went into.
Please.
I went into a car dealership and I was dressed Well, not like this. Let's put it that
Okay.
way. I was wearing the ugliest sweatpants that even I called, goddamn, they're ugly. And so, t-shirt, ball cap, walked in, ready to buy right there and then. Now, these vehicles are very expensive. They are very expensive. I didn't get a single person's attention. I actually opened the car door and sat inside just to see if I could get some attention. Nothing. And I noticed, and I call it, and I had a chat with one of my producers, and I said, this is probably an experience that people will have. And he said to me, what about unconscious bias? Which is accurate. There is unconscious bias. The way that I was dressed, in my opinion, made it appear that I wasn't going to buy. So when I sat in that car, all I could hear from the individuals, you can't be sitting in the car.
Oh my God.
Literally, I walked out, went across the street, and bought a $275,000 car at a competitor. Fuck you.
Yeah.
How do you get away from those types of experiences where someone is saying, I just want to be taken care of. I'll spend hundreds of dollars in your store, but I'm not getting the service. And they feel it was because the way they look, the way they're race, they're whatever. And they walk. How do you identify? Because if that company could figure out that they lost a sale, which is not a big deal on the grand scheme of things, but they've left a negative taste in an individual's mouth.
Of course.
And it's a negative view of the overall brand, not the salesperson. I know being a business owner, it's a salesperson. All they have to do is make eye contact, say, I'll be with you as soon as I can. That's it. Would have solved that problem. But they chose not to until I got in the car with intent, just to be an ass. How do you, because you can't be everywhere, you've got multiple people that are an extension of the brand. How do you prevent those types of issues or minimize those types of issues? I think a lot of business owners don't know how to do this.
Yes, and this is what I've noticed is the more time I spend with the team, the less these issues happen. And I'm not saying it's cats away, mice will play.
Yeah.
It's not a do as I say, it's I'll show you what we're doing here and then you can imitate it. And I know I get higher respect for that and harder workers because of that. I will grab the mop at the end of a snowy day with them. I will do anything they're doing, and my energy is very high energy. And I'm like, you guys keep up with me all day, and I can see them at the end of the day. And I see though, when we have a gratitude moment at the end of the day and I say thank you, or we have a team chat and we send gratitudes in it, I can see the energy, even if they say nothing back. And then that's what comes back to our customers. And I only recently started watching, and I know I'm behind on this game, Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he did,
Yeah.
right? And I'm learning more about management and leadership from this series than probably most of my Ivy League business books.
It's taking this long to watch Ted Lasso?
I know.
Really?
I know, right? I know. 15 employees, 4 kids, 2 dogs. You'd think I'd have more spare time.
Yeah, what's going on with you, Colin? It's a very interesting business that you have because your competition in the broader space is huge. There's a lot of, and it's concentrated.
Oh yes.
There's not like 700 players in the field. There's like maybe 7, especially in a city like this.
Yes.
How the hell do you compete? Is it price? Is it choice? How do you compete with the big companies?
So the big ones, so first of all, it is selection and what we carry, and we also carry some exclusive luxury brands. So we carry affordable brands, but we carry some brands you're not going to find elsewhere. And it's service. All of it comes down to the connection we're making with a customer and the service. And when I'm in the store, and that's why even I have my name tag on for our interview, most people don't know I'm the owner until I tell them, and then they're surprised. Because I genuinely want to know, what couldn't you find today? What couldn't we get you? What can I maybe bring you in from a supplier, even if they have to bring it in from Europe? And I'll help you get there. I'm not going to try and sell you the product I carry because it's mass produced and I carry 16 sizes and I want you to go home with 2 to 3 of them, even though they don't fit you properly. That doesn't give me any satisfaction at the end of the day. So that is truly, and even the way we train people admire us because we're going to educate them while they're here. We don't do anything that involves pressure, and we'll go through that. And people can also bring us their budgets and we'll work with their budgets. And I know one of our barriers, People are scared to walk through our doors because they think they can't afford to shop here. And we work hard at that, but we can't be everything to everyone, and we had to bring in a certain level of product. I don't want product that's not going to fit, that's going to fall apart, that has inhumane manufacturing processes. And so we do start at a higher price point than maybe some people want, but nobody here is going to judge someone when they share those budgets.
Inventory control is something that a lot of businesses will have challenges with. They will either you want to make sure your turnover of your inventory is at a faster clip, because then you're basically bringing enough cash flow for those businesses who aren't in retail especially. How do you balance the demand side and getting the right amount of inventory? Because there's ebbs and flows, especially in a city like this. Right now we are going through a baby boom. Mamas need bras.
Oh yes.
If you don't have enough inventory right now, how do you keep up with that stuff?
Inventory has been my greatest lesson. Like, if I have an MBA from Queen's, I also have an MBA in inventory management.
Okay.
You have no idea the complexities, and this isn't just me, but we have an external consulting group out in New York. We have an individual inventory planner. We have AI planning software now, which is a huge change. We're working with developers to further make it unique to our business so that we can always know what's coming. One of our advantages is lingerie and swimwear has 2 seasons, whereas outerwear and clothing has 4. And so you're always buying kind of 6 months out, and you're always looking at the past. And so one of the biggest adjustments right now that most retail went through is we went through this COVID dopamine seeking shopping spree time, to people going back to travel and experiences, to interest rates are too high and I can't afford where I'm living, let alone buying extra stuff now. And people got smaller wallets. And you have to do that all while on the move and managing your cash flow. We spend hours every day, every month, every week looking at inventory, but then also through conversation, asking people, what were they looking for? What didn't they find today?
One thing about this show that I like is that you get to speak to other business owners. And you and I have been part of groups and associations. You've actually even been a president of a groups and associations that you get to speak with a lot of business owners as well. Where are they fucking up?
I think the biggest analogy I use as an entrepreneur, it's like a long-term marriage. There's days you love your partner and you can't imagine life without them. And there's other times that you're like, maybe let's have a trial separation. Okay, even separate bedrooms for a while.
Yeah, got you.
And when you're in that period, you have to find ways to stay in love with them so that the empire doesn't fall apart. And there are times you get so disengaged with the business and the problems, and there's another HR issue coming to you, that you kind of disconnect from the business. And I can relate to that. I don't just judge it, but I see when it's happening. The owners that stay in there, even through hard times, even when they're disengaged or maybe out of love a bit, there's a lot fewer problems that come into the business than the ones that are like, here's the keys and the checkbook, send me the financials. Not dealing with HR problems quickly.
Give me an example of an HR problem.
Sure.
Because not everybody has an HR department, let alone ways to figure out HR problems.
And interestingly, a peer of mine just shared from a marketing event in Calgary. I didn't realize 87% of businesses in Alberta have 5 or fewer employees.
Yeah.
I had no idea. That's shocking to me.
Okay.
So HR problems can be work not getting executed, absenteeism, excessive time off requests, sweeping problems under the rug. I'm just trying to keep them general and broad.
Yep.
We all have a way that we like to deal with conflict.
Yep.
And so if we're conflict avoiders or we fear conflict, we don't necessarily want to have those conversations. And so I'm also very good at having conversations with people that maybe they seem disengaged. I always share with my team, I'm like, be here as long as you love being here. And when you don't want to be here anymore, let's go for coffee. I'll be your reference. I would rather have someone engaged and excited, even if it's a new position and I'm training them again, than someone disengaged, not wanting to be here, missing work.
Yeah, you look at this business and you've got a lot of, I'll call them brand ambassadors. They work here and they're talking about this business outside of these walls.
Yes.
Okay. Then you also have to build your marketing plan and get get known outside of these walls with those employees and the existing customers. When you go through a marketing plan in this industry,
Yep.
what are some of the key points you're trying to achieve in your marketing plan?
So I personally am a very authentic and vulnerable person.
Okay.
And there's an expression I love: I'd rather be slapped with the truth than kissed with a lie. And that's how we operate the business. Like, when people come in, I'm not going to lie to you to try and sell you something. I took a phone call yesterday referring a woman where to find the product she wanted. She was so shocked. I'm like, no, I know what you want. There's very few companies that produce it. We don't carry it because of demand, but I hope you can find it. If I can help you with anything, come in. And I think people get shocked that in this day and age, that's there. And even when we've had marketing assessments and they've gone to talk to our clients in third-party format, people marry us. They want to, and they might stray a little, okay? And they come back because they know that we're here and we're honest and we're faithful and we're going to still help them with whatever issues they're having. And there's still always the like pomp and circumstance and sparkle that you want to put in of like what's uniquely in this business. But people appreciate authenticity and honesty. That's what I appreciate. And I do believe a company becomes its CEO.
Yeah. When you look at this business, you're getting into, like you said, the psychological, the core, the emotion of the individual. Yes, most customers have an emotive response to a purchase of whatever they're buying, but you're actually getting into a core psyche. No different than my business. You're getting into the core emotion, the core psyche. How do you market to individuals to bring them in, knowing that you're going at their core psyche?
Because we're solving the issue that's bothering them. And so
And what's that issue?
they can't find product that fits. So then it's this spiral. I can't find product that fits me. I must be a weird size. My body's not societally normal. I could be more perfect. I feel bad about myself because there's nothing out there for me. And sadly, the people that dominate the market, and from what we see, we sell based on honesty, working with them and fitting them, most people aren't those sizes. So there's even phone calls we get that they're like, do you carry this size? And I'm like, can you just please come in? Because I can guarantee you you're not that size. So that's the marriage of the problem solve. And now they feel like, oh, this is a normal size, just most people don't carry it. This is our top selling size.
Affiliation through sales, but I mean by that is I'm a father of 3.
Yes.
If I was to walk in here, I'd take 3 steps in, get scared, and walk the hell right back out.
We know your type.
Okay. Then there's others who are comfortable to actually come to the counter and ask for help. Okay, so that's persona number 2.
I know.
Persona number 3, they're all in it. They're
Yep.
like, okay, I got to learn all this stuff. How do you educate the one that's scared to the one that can ask for help, or the one that's all in it that isn't your user of your product, but they're the ones that are putting down the credit card?
Oh, for sure.
So how do you educate me? How the
Educate
hell do you do
Okay,
it?
well, this is where we start. Here's the beauty of technology.
Okay.
You're going to come in, and I know my hyperventilation husbands, okay? We energetically connect. We get you to calm down.
You look right at my eyes when you said that. Okay. Okay.
And I'm like, oh, you want to buy something for your spouse? Well, show me her picture. And now this is a funny, awkward part. People then feel they need to show me like a naked photo of them. I'm like, fully clothed Christmas photo is fine. Yeah. And we can eyeball something. And then we can continue the conversation because now I have an idea of where her challenges may be, where to guide you. And even out of this process, funny enough, I have a good friend. He was more like probably a hands-on shopper. But he said to me, here was the psychological blockage between him and his partner. He said, if I offer to do this for her, she's not going to accept it because she has a problem receiving gifts.
Okay.
So I need to send, that's right, there's a lot of male creations in our business, despite it being a very feminine market. He said, I'm going to send her there, Colette, and I need you to do this for me. I want her to be able to open her lingerie drawer and smile every day. Because right now she doesn't like anything in it. And he's like, I don't want her to worry about what the price is. I don't want her to worry what the brands are. I want her to go through this process and get her every category filled and send me the invoice. And after we had coffee, I was like, this is brilliant. And like, out of this, we created this VIP experience. So you never have to go through the shopping process. Some partners still want to give a gift.
Yep.
And so we'll say, okay, does she like sleepwear? Is there like underwear that she would use day to day? We can find some very practical items because we still want her to have that experience of the service. And that's the true gift behind our business.
The experience that you give to your customers, you don't really get that with your competitors. And we did a bit of research with your competitors. The larger brands and so forth that are out there, and even some of the smaller boutiques, don't give the same type of experience that you give. And what I mean by experience is exactly when you talk about VIP, when you talk about a proper fitting, education, that is a differentiation. How long do you have to be a leader in this when the other businesses, your competitors, will go, why don't we just do what she's doing?
They won't, it's too expensive. So I look at all our competitors. I SWOT analysis regularly, including online. And what it comes down to, the other gift I'm giving you back by being my customer is your time. The chain stores are all about, they have to keep their costs low because what they spend on marketing, rent, some of the other areas, which is why we're in a unique location in Bridgeland, what they go there with, they have to keep their product and their human resource costs so low that they can't invest there. And so the chains would never move away from that model. They do try to, they try to go to a service base. I've had ex-chain employees work for me and explain to me their training program. But the only way that they can turn, because a lot of them are publicly traded, the only way they can turn at the levels they turn at is by keeping their size run small. And so the whole business of what they do, that's how they operate. And that's how they'll continue to operate. But I've also watched their locations close, multiple locations closing in recent years.
Correct.
Yeah.
So then if your service level is up, meaning the time of employee is up, and you're paying these individuals, and that means your overhead is higher as a percentage of the ratio versus your larger company peers out there, how does that impact the bottom line? How do you make the profit? Because you and I have had we've been very clear with each other.
Yes.
You've shown me your P&L.
Yes.
Shit, nice P&L, by the way.
Yes.
Okay. That profit and loss statement that you showed me, I was honestly surprised at the bottom dollar that you're making because of the amount of service that you provide. Because a lot of business owners say, the more I serve, the more I give an experience, the more it's going to cost me, the bottom line will get impacted. Which is pretty much what your competitors are saying. I can spend more money on marketing, get more people in the door, than service them and give them that type of experience because I'll make more money in the bottom line. You've done the opposite.
Yep.
How do you get such a nice profit and loss statement with that much cost on people?
The number one is the location. We're not in, a publicly traded REIT. We're in a very small community, but very destination. So managing where our location is, we're very destination. The other interesting part of this is I share this when we do employee speeches and we speak about our goals and what we're working towards. Our top 3 investments in the company, which are different than the chains. My number 1 investment is product, which is probably the same for chains. That's our number 1 expense. But my number 2 is people. And then 3 is lease. And so the reaction from my employees when they see that, and I will share the gross number with them. I'll share the 3 gross numbers with them to show them that they're actually my number 2 investment. This is our differentiator. Otherwise, when you're going into the chain mass market lingerie space, it's snuffing each other out. Like even the celebrities that are taking on brands or creating brands, there was, who was it, Rihanna launched a brand, and I now get ads for it. It's like 2 for $20, and
Yep.
it's into that mass production, ends up in a landfill.
Sure.
And so, as much as sometimes too, as a business owner that wants a healthy P&L, when people are coming back to me to replace their 5-6-year-old product, I'm always amazed because they've taken care of it, but the quality of that product compared to a chain is promising you, it's going to last for 90 days. I think this is where we've been ahead of the game and stayed ahead of the game. Even in my direct competitors, which are also smaller boutiques that want to offer service.
This VIP experience that you're bringing on. You get the opportunity to have a conversation with your customer base that are looking for that type of experience.
Yes.
When you speak to these customers, what's the one thing that has stuck with you that's changed your business?
They just want those customers that are coming in for that VIP experience. One of the interesting parts, even when you're sharing that car shopping story, I cannot, after 15 years, pick out who my next VIP is walking through that door and who isn't.
Yeah.
Those people, they don't necessarily love shopping, but they love quality. And they want a quality / luxury brand that fits. In what we do, it's not about a name. And it's interesting because I know people that have really researched this industry, and you don't see the Gucci's, the Louis Vuittons, the Tiffany's chasing lingerie because you can't see the logo. So it's not they've touched it a bit, but very little. And so because it's not known names, people that know these luxury brands, those are the people that come in and want it. And I didn't know that until working with them. When I first was introduced to those brands, my reaction was, nobody's going to pay that for a bra. Bullshit. And these are our top selling brands that turn over every day, every week, that are keeping the P&L nice and healthy. And that's what I learned from them, that no questions asked, they want that luxury and that quality.
You have a lot of meetings with your staff, a lot of training. You're trying to anticipate what the customer wants and train your staff on what they want. So you're training them, but sometimes our staff train us, give us an aha moment, make us learn about our business. What's the one thing you've learned from your staff that's impacted your business? Empower them.
There's a pep talk I often give. They often want my approval on something. And we're a 7-day-a-week operation that's closed 4 days a year. So no matter where I am in the world or at an activity with my children, I'm potentially getting a message. And I have seen how quickly they grow and react to empowerment of make that decision, give that discount, take that product back. You don't need my approval through a text message. I also tell, what we're doing isn't neurosurgery. No one's going to die from the wrong decision.
Yeah.
And if something goes wrong, we'll figure it out later. But that's been the greatest one, and watching them grow.
This industry is not only about the psyche or the emotion or the product itself. It's also about technology and the way that people are changing. And I believe that these GLP types of medication have made a major impact. And let me give you some examples. When I look at the reports of Walmart,
Please.
I get to look at the annual reports of Walmart. Yes, I have a life sometimes, but normally I'll read a report like that. And I get to see the Ozempic Effect. Now, Ozempic is just the name that people use because they don't talk about all the other competitors of Ozempic. But Walmart's saying there's an Ozempic effect. They're not buying as much in the grocery aisle.
Interesting.
When you look at some of the clothing companies, they're saying there's an Ozempic effect. People are not spending on a variety. They're getting more narrow in their other choices. Tell me about the Ozempic effect in your business and in your industry.
Okay, no, very interesting. So I think where we get impacted the most is because we're always dealing with the psyche. The psyche is always in our transaction, whether it's outward or just sitting there silently. So probably 5 years ago, the message to women and girls is you need to be curvy. So we got Brazilian butt lifts and boob jobs going on and lip fillers and all the things. The list is incessant. And in the past 12 to 18 months, it's just take this injection every day and see how skinny you can get. And even personally in my peers, I've watched a lot of them do it and I've seen the effects. In a recent study, which I can see this happening a lot in what we do, is a sex educator that I follow, we're very connected to the sex education community, is they did a survey and 44% of people claim that the Ozempic effect is affecting their sex lives. So GLP medications are going to affect that, our connection to others, how we feel about ourselves. And then there's also this effect, whether there's GLP medications going on or not, of women are like, oh, I don't want to buy this because I want to lose weight first. And I have seen women that I don't know this until I talk to them after their transaction. They're telling me how much weight they're losing. And that part is a bit shocking and good for them. So we see in some ways it benefits us because what they were wearing before needs to be replaced. Mm-hmm. But I think now there's this pressure of which GLP, and not only the GLP medications, but there's also a series of plastic surgeries that you can get for weight reduction. And there's a lot of pressure with that. And not so much just, here I am, and here's the acceptance of who I am in my body.
Doesn't that defer your buyer? Because if I'm on the medication and I know I'm going to lose 13% of my weight on average, according to my doctor and according to the studies, over the next 13 weeks, I would wait 13 weeks before I come into the store. Now, of course, I'm not coming in the store because of me.
No.
I can only imagine the deferral. And this is what a lot of the publicly traded companies are saying, is that people are deferring their purchases. And so the Ozempic effect means they're not coming back as many times for the same type of product or service or experience. And that is causing a concern. Airlines are talking about the Ozempic effect. Resorts are talking about the Ozempic effect because they used to have a huge buffet. They don't have to do that as more.
Interesting.
And people are saying it's not worth spending all that money for an all-you-can-eat inclusive resort. I might as well just go Airbnb and just buy whatever I normally buy. Like it's changing the mindset.
It's incredible.
How do you deal with the deferral of a purchase that changes your turnover of your inventory and the P&L and so could. I'm not saying it does.
No, of
it
course.
could change. How does a business like yours stay on top of that?
Analysis of data. There's a whole aspect of our business that if people knew, and even I know people think being a fashion buyer is this really sexy job, and we do. We go to Paris and New York and Las Vegas, but if you knew how much time you spend with Excel spreadsheets and AI software, and,
I love that.
And we see it. And so and it's interesting because there was also the sizes we sold pre-pandemic have skewed up.
Yep.
And so there was kind of this pandemic boom, and now this is most likely GLP effect, we're seeing them skew down. The other thing we've seen recently, which we're already working on solving, one of the most underserved communities now is the plus size or curvier women, is where there used to be more stores, more chains, a department in some of the department stores. They are struggling to find product. And it's interesting to see how they buy because we'll fit them and we're like, okay, perfect fit. I'll take everything you have in that size, and they'll mass purchase and order more because it's so hard to find product that we're like, okay, what can we do with this market to help them?
Why is it so hard to find it?
It can be challenging to serve that woman for now a few reasons. Some of them are, oh, I'm going to start GLP medication. I'm going to lose weight and come back. So a lot of them are in that mindset. Or there's, again, back to purchasing influence of what a store has. If a product isn't selling in a store, making good margin, you stop carrying it.
Yeah.
And so there's that ebb and flow when you're doing data analysis. And so if a store is not selling a certain size range, they're going to reduce it, or they're going to reduce their stores that have it. And so now there's so few stores catering to certain sizes that we're like, okay, let's get back in there and make sure that it's known that we're able to help them. But I've not seen demand like this before.
The entire industry is changing. And so we like to get an idea of what's happening next. So what's happening next for Colette? What's happening next for BraTopia?
Oh, for Colette. Okay, well, interestingly enough, I've recommitted to my business marathon. So I've been in all the aspects lately, but I love it. I love it. And so when I'm back, because sometimes I get pulled into certain areas that need more attention, like cash flow and analysis, which you lose the love of your business. And I've been back with our clientele. And every day, like there's an expression that I love is like, I go home, some days I'm at 14,000 steps, my feet are tired, but my soul is full. And you know you've helped these women and you're gonna keep working with them. So that's where I've been at in the business. With BraTopia, we have a sister brand that's kind of stayed on the shelf for a long time because it's this absolute growing part of society that's really coming back with a vengeance. So we have a sister brand called French Postcard. French Postcard is more focused on sexual health and intimacy devices. One of the things that's very challenging, also due to changes in technology, is to find educational information about sexual health and intimacy that's not pornographic. And so in the past 10 years even, because I've been in this industry 15 plus, women have completely taken over the influence of the intimacy device market. And what's created, and there's still a huge male aspect, but the female influence on it is incredible. And we've lost all of the original teachers. Dr. Ruth just passed away, Sue Johansson passed away, Betty Carlson passed away in 2020, and these were the first people to write books, have documentaries, teach women about their bodies and sexuality. And then without bringing politics into our discussion, but we just had an election in the US, I don't know if you heard.
Yeah, heard about that one. Small thing that just happened there, yeah.
And some of the legal changes and the effects that has on their population is probably even more negative than what GLP does to people's sex lives, and based on choice. So I do feel there's this area for education and continuing to empower women, where we keep BraTopia very lingerie-centric, but the positive reactions that I see women have when they enter the store, because nobody knows if you're leaving here with a bathing suit to go to Cancun at Christmas or an intimacy device, and we're an all-female staff. We have one male that works in the office. I think that really helps change some of how women can shop.
That's awesome. I want to thank you for joining us on the Carmeli Exchange. Hopefully all these business owners learn a lot about your business, about how to run a business, and what's coming up in the future. Thank you for watching the Carmeli Exchange. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. You can also follow me on social media at Faisal Carmeli, where we can continue the business conversation.